This is the one Leland wanted to show at school, but it wasn't working properly. All right, well, I'll invite the team to come on up tonight. It's okay. At least the adults part. Apparently my fancy controls aren't working properly. The hippo sound is like the laughing pigs. The kids don't have to come up here yet. They were going to share in a little bit, but you want a microphone? Sure. We'll just have to wait a minute. So we are going to stream for all of our family and friends that are watching. Oh yeah, look at there we are. Good, I can hear us on the camera. It's good to see you guys. Yep. You always know it's good when the in-laws like it, so share it. It's even better. But welcome to our trip report. As I said, no, don't touch anything, please. Thank you. As I was just sharing, from the time that I got a couple things ready this afternoon to tonight, it seems like everything that I got ready, something failed and just didn't work. The soundboard crashed, it's not working properly. The breaker tripped, and so the fridge defrosted all over the foyer floor. And so Nancy's like, how do we clean this up? And I said, the way that Adam Sandler does in Big Daddy, we're just going to throw a mat over top of it, and you won't even notice as you walk in. And just these little things that just everything at once tonight just decides this doesn't want to work properly. And honestly, that sounds like a mission trip. All the little things, all the little details. They just sometimes it just seems like if there's anything that will go wrong, it probably will. And you'll hear a little bit of that in our stories tonight. And so just kind of a quick format. I'm going to give you a little bit of the overview of the itinerary of the night and of what we did on the trip. And then everyone's going to kind of share a little bit of their story, and it'll fill in some of the blanks of the itinerary. But let me give you a couple definitions of a couple places as we get started today. And so the Village of Hope is the primary ministry that the couple we sponsor, the family we sponsor, Julius Kenny Maniera and his family. They are he is the director of the Village of Hope, Mwanza. And they have 2 sites. Someone say 2 sites. So they have, I'm going to try to say this right if I can, the Nyagizi site, which is the first one in Mwanza. And then a couple years ago, they started a second center called Bulale. What's that? Was it 5 years ago? That's right. Over 5 years ago, because there's 5 grades in the school. And every year they add another grade because they keep growing. Yeah, I would like to sit at my spot, please. You can grab a chair. It's kind of throwing me off, so. See, I didn't plan for the kids to sit up with us yet. That was all. So, but they think it's cool, and that's fine. They're a part of the team very much. And so, Village of Hope, there's 2 sites. And so, when we say we try to use Village of Hope, because at the Village of Hope, they do a number of different things. They offer a children's home for kids who either don't have parents, who just come from just maybe a difficult background, maybe mom and dad can't take care of them, or a family member. They also run schooling program, or school, and they run feeding programs. And if I feel free to jump in if I forget something of the things that they do. And as you'll see, we also hosted a medical camp. And by we, I mean I wasn't there at all for the medical camp. That was our medical professionals and our medical team, and Catherine who did that. And they offer all kinds of community programming as well. And so when you hear us talk about the Village of Hope, VOH, there's 2 sites, and we will talk about them interchangeably tonight. You'll also hear the word sponsor child, and all 3 of us will likely talk about that. And simply put, is sponsored children are children that people give money to support every month to help them with their feeding and clothing and schooling and so on and so forth, some of their basic needs and necessities, if you don't know that already. I'm going to talk about Mwanza Christian College, and I should have put a map on the screen. I didn't do that, but Mwanza Christian College is right next to Julius's house, which is where we stayed when we were in Mwanza, and they train pastors for Tanzania and Mwanza area specifically. And so I did a lot of work there, and so you'll see some pictures. You hear me talk about Mwanza Christian College. It's right next door to Julius's house. And then 20 minutes down the road is the first Village of Hope site, and then about another 15, 20 minutes or so is down a very bumpy road is the Bulale Village of Hope site. You'll hear us talk about Petra City Church, which is the church that Julius and Jade started just over 3 years ago now, and they meet on the campus of Mwanza Christian College, and so we'll share a little bit about that. Connect group, they did a ladies group, and they did a men's brunch, which we'll hear about a little bit. And then finally, we took a little bit of time and went on safari. Now, if you are online tonight, I don't think you'll see too many of the pictures that we're going to be talking about. And one of the reasons is we want to just respect the privacy of the kids and families that we met at the Village of Hope. And so luckily you get to look at our kids and our wonderful team over here that was able to go over to Tanzania. In case you don't know who we are, we got Nancy on my far left, we got Diana, Leland, Elizabeth, myself, and I didn't see Catherine hiding there next to Diana, and Mackenzie, who just got back from dance and is eating her dinner. Mommy's got the other microphone. Okay. Well, Mommy's got it, so you'll have to wait. What are you going to talk about, Leland? What are you going to talk about? All right. Well, let's see if my remote works tonight. It was working a few minutes ago. Remember how I said all the little things that didn't work? All right. Does anybody recognize the location of this picture by chance? Thunder Bay. So door to door, it's a little bit harder to quantify how long it took for us to get there because we spent a night in Montreal. But door to door on the way home, it was exactly 49 hours of travel. And so here we are. We left Thunder Bay. We landed in Toronto. We went Toronto to Montreal. Montreal, we spent the night. Then we flew to Dubai to Dar es Salaam. And then we had a few hours in Dar. And then we flew to Mwanza and got to Mwanza about 10:30 Monday evening. And so here's, I like airports, so here's us, of course, in Thunder Bay, on the escalator, going up to security. Here's us at the gate, getting onto our plane. And you'll notice on my right shoulder, there's a little orange strap of a backpack. And we got about halfway, we were about 20 kilometers from Nipigon. on Saturday morning. And I said to Elizabeth, I said, I packed everybody else's bags except for my orange backpack, which had 2 laptop computers, all of our travel adapters, iPad, headphones, all the necessities you need for a long-haul flight, and all the travel adapters in order to plug in your electronics overseas. And normally I would have said, not really a big deal. As I thought about it, though, these 2 laptops that I was bringing, we were bringing to leave over in Mwanza to be used either at the church or at the school, or the college, rather. And so I said, I think it's important that we get this backpack. And so in the moment of my, shame and not panic, but just disappointment in myself, I just prayed and said, God, would you give us a solution? And Elizabeth says, so should we call Harrison and Rebecca and see what they can do? And Harrison, being the great guy that he is, rolled out of bed, got dressed before Elizabeth even hung up the phone with him, or with Rebecca, and he was on our way to our house, finding the hidden key, which we don't normally do, but we did lock our doors this trip because everyone knew we were gone. And what we would learn is that this was the first of many hiccups on our travel to Mwanza, Tanzania. And so now you know that the key was hidden under the carpet. Yeah, thanks. Everyone online knows that. But it's not there anymore because we had to move it. But this is the first of many hiccups along our trip. And so here we are in Thunder Bay. And we did make it to Montreal, but we almost didn't make it to Montreal. And I'll tell you why. Elizabeth said we should go for lunch in Toronto. And I agreed. Nancy agreed. Diana agreed. The kids came along. They had no choice. And we had a 5-hour layover in Toronto. And so we flew into Billy Bishop with Porter. We got on the bus, went downtown, went kitty corner from the bus stop to this nice little restaurant, had a great time, stretched out, had a little bit of a walk, had a great meal, walked back over to the bus stop. And by this time, traffic had kind of picked up, and it wasn't moving very much. And we could see the bus coming up the street, and it was kind of just stopped on the other side of the intersection. And then we could hear all this loud noise way down the streets. And I mean, it's Toronto. You're just used to loud noise when you visit. No, Mackenzie hated the honking. She was just yelling at cars, and they honked back. And finally, the bus comes. And we get on the bus, and we start driving down the road. And the bus driver takes, the first left. And she tells us that this is the route that she has to take. She can't deviate from this route. And wouldn't you know it, there's a huge protest downtown Toronto. And we have 2 hours until our flight leaves. And the bus is a 20-minute ride tops. And we sat on that bus for 45 minutes to an hour. And there was just people walking past the bus everywhere. Cars just stopped. And these other ladies on the bus were getting a little bit nervous. And I'm like, oh, we'll be fine. Time goes on. We've moved about 5 feet. I'm getting a little bit worried myself. And so I walk up to the bus driver and I said, anything we can do, can you just let us off? We will walk or run to the airport at this point. And she says, I'm not allowed to let people off the bus. It's the policy. I can pick them up here, and I drop them off here. I cannot let you off the bus. And so I did the only thing that I knew how to do, went back to the back of the bus and started praying. And within probably 5 minutes of praying, people just got out of the way, and the traffic started moving, and we started moving with it. And we got to the gate 5 minutes before boarding started. So praise God for that. So we made it to Montreal. No problems in Montreal. Got to the airport, no problems. Got to Dubai after a 12-hour flight. Slept pretty good on a plane, not bad. There's the Boeing 777-200 in the background in case you wanted to know what kind of plane we flew. No one else cares, but I do. And, I didn't quite make it. I didn't have a picture in Dubai. But we got to Dar es Salaam, and we had a 7-hour layover. Now, somebody told us, don't leave the airport. And then Julius, that was Julius's father-in-law, told us, don't leave the airport. And then Julius said, oh, you guys can leave the airport. And he arranged for us to go swimming at this little resort. There was a nice little beach. There was a nice pool. And we said, after traveling for 18, 20-something hours, that sounds nice. And he had a driver waiting for us at the airport. And wouldn't you know it, we get all the way there. We have this great time. We swim. We have dinner. We get changed. We get back in the van. And then there's just crazy traffic all the way to the airport. And we have one more flight to catch to get to Mwanza. Shortest flight of the entire trip. And we are almost going to miss our flight because there's just traffic stopped for no reason. And I was like, okay, this is normal. And when the driver next to me started to sweat and get a little bit anxious and fidgety, I got a little bit nervous. And they're in the back getting nervous, and he's got music videos playing on a screen on the dash, somewhat inappropriate. And Nancy and Diana were killing themselves laughing as they had to watch Pastor Gary sit in front of this screen of these slightly inappropriate dancers on this screen of this car. And the kids and everyone else were sleeping. So what do we do again? What do we do again? We begin to pray. And we begin to pray, and like within 5 minutes, we start moving. We get to the airport. He drove so fast past like 3 broken down cars, which was causing the bottleneck of traffic. And wouldn't you know it, we made it onto the plane, and praise God, we were not the last people to board the plane. There was like at least 10 people after us. Incredible, just the timing of it all. And so all of these little things, all these little hiccups just to get there happened. And yet every single time, we just kind of couldn't do anything. It was out of our control. And so we talked to somebody who was in control, and we prayed every single time, and God answered every single moment. And we didn't have any more real big hiccups for the rest of the trip until the night before we came home. As you can see, we have our youngest here, Leland. He was playing on the monkey bars. I was doing a little bit of work trying to finish up a job before we had to leave at 5:30 in the morning the next day to come home. And Elizabeth sends me a text and says, I'm pretty sure Leland just broke his arm. And of course he broke his arm. Not earlier in the day, not the day before, but a couple hours before we were supposed to leave, about 12 hours before we were supposed to get on a plane and start flying home. And wouldn't you know it, 2 hours later, he was x-rayed, seen, half-casted, and drugged up, ready for sleeping, and rare and ready to go. And again, all we could do is just pray, God, let it be a simple break. And sure enough, it was. And so here we are. We made it there and back. And yeah, so that's kind of the quick itinerary version. Let me just share just real quick. And so this is the night we met Julius. He's there in the front. There's our team just meeting with him. It was a great kind of night as we got to Mwanza, great introduction. And the jet lag was real. Let me tell you, the jet lag was real. This is Catherine all spread out there on the bottom. Kenzie just passed out on the top bunk. And that's how tired she was. She was hardly hanging on the bed. And this was later in the week. It was such a joy. One of the reasons we brought our kids was because Julius and Jade have brought their kids to us many times. And when Julius invited us, he said, like, you guys come, bring a team, and bring your kids. And so we brought our wonderful kids. And it was so cool to watch them play together. I don't think I have the picture of Leland here yet. But this is on a little hike just around Julius's neighborhood. And so it was pretty special for us to see how he lives, where he lives. And I'm going to pause here a little bit, and I'm going to talk about some of the people that had an impact on my life. And of course, I spent as much time as I possibly could with Julius. And the more time I spent with Julius, the more I appreciated just the quality and character of a person that he is, but also just the quality of leader that he is. And so right now, Julius has taken on a lot of roles. In addition to being a dad of 3 boys, a single dad of 3 boys nonetheless, he runs as the director over 2 sites at the Village of Hope in Mwanza. He is the pastor of Petra City Church, which we talked about. And recently, he has helped step into the leadership of Mwanza Christian College. And so he's kind of doing 4 jobs and being a dad all at the same time. And I had such a joy and pleasure. I went to some of his staff meetings, went to some of the leadership meetings. I did a lot of the devotionals with the team and led some of those discussions. But through it all, watching Julius lead with grace, lead with patience, because as we said, sometimes things don't go as planned. And he warned us, things don't always go as planned. And watching him kind of roll with the punches, it was just such an honor to know just the quality of person that he is. And hard worker, good worker, and I could probably talk all night about all the different things, but I won't do that. But one of the things that makes Julius successful as a leader is the people he has around him. And this is his friend, Giffen, who was kind of our host along with Julius. Him and his wife and his family just blessed us incredibly in incredible ways. Giffen is the one that drove Elizabeth and Leland to the hospital at 10 o'clock at night. Then they had to drive to another hospital because they didn't have an x-ray technician the first time. And I just enjoyed so much spending an incredible amount of time. And Giffen is someone I could relate to, because even though today I'm the lead pastor, I really love being the number 2 guy. I love helping someone else look good and just be there to serve them. And Giffen serves with grace, he serves with integrity, he serves with honor. And they are from Kenya along with Julius, and they moved to Mwanza a year and a half ago to help serve and support him and his family. And in addition to helping Julius, he volunteers his time to help the students at the college learn English. And it's an incredibly important role that he has. And he does it all for volunteer. And so I just want to honor Giffen tonight, as you can see him in that picture right there. And, good. Okay, guys. You need to stop, please. You're distracting me. Catherine, you need to stop, too. Thanks. And this is, you guys know as a pastor, I love... You need to go somewhere else. Then you need to stop. This is James, and I don't know if you can read the sign, but this is the sign that they put down at the street as church starts on Sunday morning. It says, "Welcome home." It says Petra City Church. And I met James at the men's brunch we did on the Saturday, and I spent a couple times because he was part of the leadership, or part of the volunteer team at church, rather. And he was just incredibly friendly. He always did a job, whatever needed to get done. He was willing to jump in and do it. And so he went from setting up coffee and tea and getting things ready, and he went and brought the sign down, and he went and picked the sign up. And I said to James, I said, I got to get your picture. And I should have got a picture with him, but, I didn't. But he is just one of those wonderful, wonderful volunteers that I just really appreciate. And so many people in our church here are like James. But I think if the world had more people like James, there'd be more people that would have a lot of help in their life as well. Does anybody know what that is in the picture? No, Kenzie can't guess. But you're right, it's a generator, Mackenzie. And can anyone guess why Julius has a generator? Well, the power doesn't always stay on. And as we learned, we had quite the power outage. And there was, and a water leak, that's right. Oh. At the same time, the water leak came right after the power went off. But anyways, lost train of thought. Yeah, thanks. Moving on. I have notes, but you don't really. It's good. And this guy here is, you can't see his face very well, but this is Nehemiah, and he was helping. He insisted that he climb the door to do this work, and I offered to do it. And he even went into the attic of this building, because one of the jobs that I had to do, and I volunteered to do, and was asked to do, was help get the internet installed in the computer lab for the college. And so here is Nehemiah willingly climbing the door, running the cable through the roof into the lab and then through the attic. And so just really enjoyed. This is the best picture I got of Nehemiah. I don't know why I didn't get a better one. But again, I was there working, not taking pictures. And so I just want to honor him tonight as well. I have my little helper here. And what did we do, Leland?
What did you do? I drilled.
And what did you drill?
The whiteboard.
And so we had we have 6 or 8 whiteboards.
6.
I can't remember. It was either 6 or 8.
I also collected a bunch of chalk.
Oh yes, because we replaced some of the chalkboards with whiteboards, and so one of his jobs was to collect all the chalk, and so that you can see him there. Doing that. Yeah. I think, that's what's in his left hand in that moment. So this is pre-broken arm, obviously. And again, out of all the things that Leland did, he broke his arm on monkey bars. Not anything cool. All right, my button stopped working. Ken's, go hit the button. Oh, never mind. And then finally, one of my other jobs, and so finally, on Saturday, the worship team was practicing for Sunday morning, so they had the band. And somehow during the Wednesday staff meeting I did at the Petra City Church, I made the comment that I knew how to do sound and I knew how to fix cables. And wouldn't you know it, I'm thinking I just get to hang out, listen to the worship team practice, and just kind of hang out. And what do you know, the kids' pastor showed up with a bag of cables, a soldering iron, and a pack of solder that she had just bought, and said, I hear you can fix cables, here you go. And so for the next 2.5 hours, I fixed all the cables that I possibly could, and they now have working cables. And I missed all of your pretty singing. What? No, I don't know. I just skipped like 100 pictures. Don't look. Don't look. Close your eyes. Everyone close your eyes. This is going backwards. I don't know why it jumped. Well, now you got to see all of our safari pictures and our team. And then finally, here's me speaking on Sunday morning in church, and then that was me speaking at the college for their chapel service. All right, I've done enough talking, and I showed you enough of these pictures. Leland at the Serengeti. This was Leland's favorite seat the entire safari. Doing the safari was this was the highlight. I mean, seeing the animals was cool, but watching Leland watch the animals on his little perch with binoculars and my little safari hat definitely made the trip for me, for sure. All right. There he is licking my head. He wanted to show that picture for some reason. And we saw giraffes. We saw cheetahs. Take the other one if you need to talk. And what else we got?
Hello?
We got some elephants. Again, it stopped working. There we go. I saw some lions.
Lions! Wow.
And what's this one? Mackenzie had to stop for a pee, and when we stopped, she discovered a turtle. Yeah. How big was the turtle? Uh-oh. I don't know. It's being ridiculous.
Turtle.
But anyways, Nancy's going to share some of her story now.
Okay, give that to Nancy. She's going to talk now.
Give the microphone to Nancy, and the kids can go sit down. No, I'm going to go. You stay. I don't want you to sit up here.
No, you're being crazy.
Go to the middle.
Come join me.
Well, hello everybody. Caribou is welcome in Swahili, so we said a lot of that while we were out. And jumbo too. We learned a few important words, and that was definitely one of them.
Remember, how are you?
Oh no, no.
What is it? Catherine does.
Oh yes, habari is hello, and when I would say habari to anybody, it sounded like a question. Habari? Yes, thank you guys for coming. So my story started with this little guy, George. He was the first child I met. We went to the orphanage, and all the other children were in school because they were older, and so we walked into this house mother's home, and she stood there, and she had this little boy standing in front of her, and I could tell just by how he had special needs. And I can't remember the welcoming or the greeting. I just found my way over, and I kneeled beside him. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I put one hand out, and he reached for my hand. So, of course, my second hand came out. And he came over to me, so excited, and his little wobbly legs, and he put his forehead on my forehead. And we just stared into each other's eyes. And in those moments, I can't describe how I felt. Like the Holy Spirit was like for real. Like he has imprinted my heart so much. Just the way he looked into my eyes, and just knowing he was an orphan and he was abandoned, and just to see how much love he has and how friendly he is. And you know, as we got to know him more, he just warmed up to all of us. And so we all definitely will remember George for a very long time. And yeah, you see him there with Diana. And there he is with Catherine. So that was really nice. So yeah, and then the next pictures are, this is my friend Esther. She's one of many. So when you look at the picture, there's Esther standing there, and behind her, there's her little boy. You'll see a picture of him in a minute. But there's the doorway, and there's a blue chair coming out from the opposite side of the picture, so you could tell how wide her room is. and it's about as long, a little longer, but so it's very small. Yes, it really is. Cement walls, just a dirt floor, a little bit of circulation on top. So she has 5 children. She's blind, and no husband, no real income. Okay, and that's her little boy that's hiding behind because, his home is full of strange people that he, probably doesn't have company very often. So he's the youngest one. And she has 2 older ones outside. We kind of saw them in a distance, and there's one standing beside her in the picture as well. And the 5th one is at school. So what really struck me about that is out of her 5 children, chances are, and that's all her belongings, that's it. So, out of her 5 children, 1 child attends the Village of Hope. So that 1 child out of 5 will get medical care, will get schooling, possibly go to college, get a meal, food, all those things. So, and also in the back, there's a hammock kind of hanging, and underneath the hammock, there's a few foam pieces, and that's where her and her 5 children sleep every night. So just the thought of, rainy season coming, and I'm sure that floor gets wet. I don't know if you're better off sleeping in the hammock or on the floor, but so that really touched me to see that. But like I said, her 5th child that was in school and who has all these privileges, I just think about that as a mom, thinking, I have 5 children that I love with all my heart, but there's only one that really has a future. And that's my Canadian mind thinking of it that way. She might just feel so extra blessed, and because she has at least 1 child that's gonna, do that. So that's Esther, and there's so many Esthers in the communities, whether they, have 5 children and are blind, or, whatever their stories are. So Esther was, very special to all of us. And Esther was, so like I said, she was blind, and I didn't realize until I got there that I felt this need to touch people's hands and to introduce myself and look into their eyes and just have that little connection with people. And with Esther, I had a hard time because I could look into her eyes, but she couldn't see me, and I just wanted to hold her hand, introduce myself, and for her to know at that moment that she was very important to somebody. So I tried to give her a hug and just kind of say some few words that I knew, but I had pulled Catherine over to me, and I took Esther's hands out from under her, what she was wearing, and I put them on Catherine's head. Now, the vision of her smile, and she laughed, and she said something in Swahili, I have no idea what, but it was almost like a gesture of, our children, like, I don't even know what the gesture was, but I could just tell by her reaction, right? She was excited, and to touch Catherine's head and to know that, it wasn't just adults there, but there was children there too, and then to touch the different, she could tell it was a child, but the different hair, and so it was we just saw this joy consume her, and, and I look at her and I'm thinking, oh, this poor woman, this, and that, but, how beautiful is it for her to be full of joy, to get so much happiness out of that little moment with Catherine. And so so Esther lived just outside of the Bulale orphanage. So, and this orphanage too. So this little guy, his name is Moses. He was abandoned by his mother, and then he was taken in by the Village of Hope. So Moses looks really good there, he looks healthy, and it's all because of the Village of Hope, because his mother had nothing left to be able to give him, so her sacrifice as a loving mother was to abandon him, and I'm sure she watched from afar to make sure he was okay. So he lives at the Village of Hope, and he's such a kind, friendly boy, and very curious, and lots of questions, and liked to tell a story. And he told me that he missed his mother, and he loved her, and that she lived out there, and he pointed at the gates, outside of the orphanage, because it's like a gated compound community. So that was really, sad for me. But I was later told by the staff members that his mother is known to walk by in hopes to see him, just a glimpse of him, because she's not allowed to physically go visit him, because if she did, she would have to take him, and she knows she has nothing to offer. She has no income, no place to live, no nothing. So another motherly moment, just abandoning your child so they have a better life. And it's just like, wow, and those things do happen in Canada, but we have programs, we have support, we have all these things to help us when we, reach those times, in our lives. So Moses was very special, and I don't know if there's pictures now or later on, but Moses and Kat.
So what is your name?
Oh, here he is.
So what is your name?
Moses.
And how old are you?
I'm 12 years old.
12 years old. And looking at him, you would never think he's 12 years old, right? But him and Catherine had a really beautiful connection. I think it started with the cell phone, of course, and that intrigues everybody. So, but just to see them walking around the orphanage, side by side, talking, they're from two different worlds, and, you could just see the connection the two of them had together. So that was nice. And this picture here is Catherine and Mackenzie, and I call her the little girl in pink because I never did get her name. Now, what I think is really special about this is I questioned the staff, because all the children there all had uniforms. So because she had a little pink dress on, it was different. So I questioned the staff on why she had this dress on. And because the Village of Hope, they take, what is it? Agna is her name. Since the Village of Hope, it's getting bigger, but you're actually able to sponsor a child and send money, and the staff goes out and buys what you've asked them to buy. So this little girl's sponsor was from another country. They sent extra money and asked for this little girl to have a new dress bought. So the people at the orphanage went out, bought her a dress, took a picture so her sponsors could see that that money actually went to the dress. Now, I think, we've often heard over the years that different places do not, the money doesn't go to the kids and it goes to all these different places. But that's a really special thing that, when you see with your own eyes that the staff and the people in these places are so invested in these child's well-being, like not only physical, but their mental and everything. So, so if anybody's ever interested in sponsoring a child, Village of Hope is a great place because you get these things. So this is my sponsored child, Frank. And what a special thing it is to pick a child. And there's a bit of a funny story because we had broken down when you get a group of children that you saw the day before and you're looking at their picture and so I was like, oh, who am I going to pick? Who am I going to pick? And then all of a sudden, Elizabeth is like, well, I already told you. You got Frank. And I'm like, what? So a little mix up, but it took such relief off me because I couldn't figure out which one of these beautiful children.
But the reason why I picked Frank for you is that his beautiful smile, and when you get to see the description of what they like to do, what they want to be when they grow up. And the one thing he wrote that he likes to do is to dance. So between the smile and the dancing, I was like, he's yours, Nancy. Like that, it just worked.
Yeah, so that was great. God was working through Elizabeth to get to me. That's the way it should be. So the next picture, I think, is a picture of Frank and I.
You want to sing a song with me? What are we going to sing?
Over here.
You are. You want to do? You are my sunshine.
You're my sunshine.
My only sunshine.
My only sunshine.
You make me happy. When skies are gray.
It's kind of big.
You only love me.
I forgot the last words.
I can't remember the rest. Nice to meet you. Did you say my name is Frank?
My name is Frank.
Yeah. Now look.
So I later found out that Frank is, he's epileptic, and he has fainting spells as well. And so his health isn't 100%, but with everything that VOH is giving him, it's definitely, at least getting those Bliss. We had a nurse friend that had 3 names. We all asked him what his name was. I call him Bliss. Diana called him something else, and I can't remember. Mace.
I thought he said Mace.
And I called him Bliss. So yes.
We had no idea.
Yeah. So he was quite the guy. But yeah, Frankie is the guy, and yeah. So I feel in my heart. I feel like God's put it in my heart years ago to want to go to Africa, and there was so many different things we experienced. But now I feel like I know more of what I want to do on my next trip to Africa, where I want to focus my time and all of that. So I have definitely done research. I'm not sure if Village of Hope is where I'm going to return. I think it'd be beautiful to do that, but there's other opportunities out there, and I think this is yeah, it's just the beginning for me, and I feel like yeah, I'll be there again. Not sure where, when, and how, but yeah, I'm sure God will make it happen. And yeah, I think it's Diana's turn now. Oh, the kids.
Am I prompting?
Huh?
Who do you have someone first? Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Lions?
Lions, tigers, bears.
Lions?
What did you?
Chickens. We found chickens. Chickens. Chickens.
baby
Chicken,
ones.
chickens. Bark, 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 bark. Bark. Bark, bark.
What did you learn in 10?
Bark. Don't ever.
What was something special?
Hell.
Seeing the kids.
Anyone in particular?
Hello. Hello.
I like seeing Amina.
Hello.
Who's Amina?
We sponsor her. She is 9 years old, and I asked her what she likes to do, and
Do you remember?
no, she likes to do math and soccer, and she likes to play with her friends and play outside, and she is in grade. She's in grade 4, and yeah.
What was special for you, Catherine?
That I got to go help Mommy with the medical camp for 2 days. And the first one we take like not very long, but the second one takes a little bit longer.
Hello. phone not on? I take the kids' temperature and I did
Oxygen and their pulse.
and I did the oxygen and I got mummies. I did mummy's blood work too. Blood pressures, I loved it. My turn.
Your turn? Okay.
Yes.
What was special for you, Leland?
That I got to what is it? That I got to buy a necklace that has a tooth on it, and another gun, like the orange one, but still there, and
Hey, Leland, what did you think of the going to the hospital?
Good.
What did you learn at the hospital?
I learned that safari pictures. I'm gonna talk about safari.
Okay, talk about safari.
That I liked sitting on the edge so I could look at the window. Yeah.
Out the window or out the roof?
Out the roof.
Out the roof.
Hello.
What was your favorite animal, Leland?
Lions.
Lions.
Wow. 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 Wow.
So
wow, wow.
Leland had asked before we left to see a lion. Catherine, what did you ask to see?
Zebra.
A zebra. And Mackenzie, what was your animal that you wanted to see?
Turtle.
A turtle. And we saw them all. We saw zebras within like 2 minutes of entering the Serengeti.
When we waked up, we saw a hippo right out of the window in the safari window, and I saw a big elephant by the window of the hotel.
Are you going to try again? So the hippos, all of those rock-looking things in the water are actually all hippos. And just as we pulled up, they all started making noise. But one would make a noise, and then they'd all start, and it sounded like they were all laughing at each other. Like, it was the most hilarious moment.
The water. This is what the hippos sound like.
What was something interesting we learned about zebras and wildebeests?
The zebras have very good memory, and the wildebeest have really bad memory, and but they have really good smell, and they know that they only know that they only follow the zebras. They will get lost if there's no zebras. That they will.
So Nancy, what did you learn about a zebra and a wildebeest in relation to our trip? And the rest of us? In relation to us?
I am 100% a wildebeest. 100%. And Elizabeth is definitely the zebra. And what are you? We're wildebeest. We'll go with that. We would be lost without Elizabeth.
Yeah, you guys would be lost.
All right, anything else from the kids?
You guys are wildebeest and you know nothing.
Come over here.
We saw deer-looking thingies and mongoose. Antelope and mongoose.
What? Can you tell everyone? Here, can I have this for a second? Can you tell everyone what you got to do at the Village of Hope the first day?
We taught about Esther.
Yeah, but what happened? Did we know we were going to do that?
No.
So we get to the Village of Hope, and it's our first day there, and we're just getting a tour. That's what we were told. You're going to go on a tour. So that's what we're expecting. So we get there, and Pastor Audrey, who volunteers her time to look after their spiritual care and at the Village of Hope, she was sort of our guide that day, and she said, well, today's church service at the Village of Hope in Nigezi. So you guys are going to lead... was Bulale, sorry. She said, you're going to lead our chapel service today. So we're driving out from Nigezi to Bulale, which is about 10, 15-minute drive. So I looked at Mackenzie and I said, well, what are you going to teach about? Because we had no idea. Yeah. So looked at Mackenzie and said, what are we going to do? So in that 15-minute drive, we prepped a story. And she got up there and we did like a question-answer time. So she stood up in front of a classroom of at least 120 kids plus teachers. Yep. And she got up there and she talked about Queen Esther. So Mackenzie, can you give us a little like 2-second rundown of what was special about Queen Esther?
She made a huge decision about either letting her people die or saving her people.
What was the final thing about Esther that we learned about? That
she was chosen to be queen for that moment at that very time. And she was brave.
All right, so then the next day we find out we're going to the next site and we're going to do this again. So that night, Catherine decided, well, I decided, Catherine was going to share. I will give it to you in a moment. So she had a little bit more practice. So Catherine, what did you talk about on day 2?
Jonah.
Yeah, you talked about Jonah, and what was the big idea from Jonah?
To trust God all the time.
And then what song did we teach them? Do you remember, guys?
Oh, God is an awesome God.
Awesome God, yep. It's very cool. Okay, who's next? What do you want to talk about, Leland? Yeah, we did. That's Mummy's homemade splint with the help of Giffen. I came prepared with tensor bandages, and we cut a piece of wood. And then we went to the hospital, and they asked, why are you here? It looks like he's already been to the hospital. And then they said they didn't have any slings for children at the hospital. So I just said, well, we'll keep using this. It was just a scarf that I had brought with me. So that's what he wore all the way home. What else? About what? Oh, keep going. He's talking to you. Oh, what was this from, Leland? Do you remember that day?
I at the festival.
At the boys.
Festival, I got face paint and Batman face paint. And I played at the park. And I got I
Okay, I think we're gonna let
No,
Diana have a turn
I
now.
have to do one more thing. And
One more thing? What's one more thing?
And the
Hey,
thing I also did.
I have one more thing for you. What was your favorite food? Tell us.
Chapati.
Chapati. It was very yummy. So if you don't know, chapati is an Indian flatbread, actually, but they make
Yeah.
it in Africa.
Yes.
Like a naan bread, but
Yes.
sweeter. Very
Yes.
yummy.
Yes.
Nancy's going to make us some.
So yeah, I just want to thank everyone, first of all, that helped support us to get to where we got to. It was a long year of fundraising, but it all went so well. And I can't believe we're already back doing this because it just seems like we were in the middle of fundraising. So it was an incredible experience to be there, life-changing, just such an experience that I'll never forget. This picture right here was actually walking into the first classroom. And the kids at first were pretty, not sure of us and just kind of not making any eye contact. So we just kind of continued on our little tour. And, I got close up to most of them, but they were very unsure and not very comfortable of who we are. So I got some pictures here, some sweethearts. And then as we kept going, well, this is a video here that I was taking of Nancy. And they just crowded around us, and the more we talked to them, the more they wanted to touch us and hear us. And so I think, not sure if this is a video here.
Five.
So.
What's over here? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now come sit down. Come sit here. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Where's the rest? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yay!
So yeah, it was just such a beautiful experience for them to come more connected with us as we went. This is one of the teachers. Her name was Happy. The kids were just so excited to have us there, and it was really quite the experience. We got into the classrooms and did presentations for them and met them all. And soon enough, they were all just following behind us and just all fighting for our attention. So it was just, this was a little girl with a dress that she was sponsored, and her sponsor sent her a dress. They're all quite shy, but it was just amazing to meet them all. Yeah, and this was... I wanted to see kind of what the women did here for cooking, because I work in dietary aid at the hospital, and so I was curious to see how they prepared their food. So it was really interesting to see that they work a lot different than we do, that's for sure, and everything is cooked right from scratch, cooked over a fire. Vegetables are brought in fresh, and they're preparing everything as fresh as can be, and to every breakfast and lunch that they make for the kids there every day. So very healthy meals and very good, because we had lunch there too. So they made amazing food. So that was interesting to see how they actually prepared. This was a little fish. I forget what they were called. Do you guys remember? Little fish. And she was cooking them by the scoopfuls of this open fire. And everybody loved them. They were just crunchy little fish. I don't know what they were called, but this was a vegetable, Chinese cabbage. Yeah, they would just have that as a sort of a side dish at every meal. So that was good. That was a healthy vegetable. Yeah. And there they are preparing, I think that's bananas there. Yeah. cutting them up, and that was a part of the meal every day too. Their bananas were so sweet compared to our bananas. They were so sweet. You didn't like them? I couldn't stop eating them. Oh, yeah, they were good too. This was one of the ladies in the kitchen, big vats that they were cooking their food over. There was no lighting in there, so it was quite dark. So I just found it so fascinating how they just prepared such amazing food with their limited resources that they had. But everything was delicious, and they were so gracious to let us in. This is little George that Nancy was talking to you about, one of the handicapped kids there. He was a very special, sweet little boy. He loved to give these little head rubs. He would just wanted to put your forehead to forehead and just rub your foreheads together, and that was his way of affection. So he was very special. This is another of the handicapped children. I don't remember the name. Julius, okay. And the mama, they were all called mamas. 3, and this is Irene, right? Irene. And she just loved to have any kind of contact with you, to play hand games with you, to dance. She loved to dance, and she wanted to sing. Yeah, there she is singing a song there. So special. I'm not sure how old she was. Maybe a teenager, 13, something, yeah. Yeah, and this is Paul, very tall Paul. He came there, I think he was okay when he first came, but, well, he had some injuries anyway that caused him to have some seizures. So he has to be very careful of what he does, but he was just this tall, gangly, shy, but sweet Paul that followed us everywhere. And this is my little sponsor girl that I had the pleasure of meeting that day. She was super shy, so she didn't really say a lot, but I just talked to her. There was a video too, I don't think we have it, but she was a complete joy to meet. Her name is Maswita. She's 8 years old, and that's my little foster girl, or sponsor girl. So I look forward to having lots of further communication with her, hopefully. This is part of our medical camp. Nancy was in charge of measuring the heights. And we did Elizabeth doing some temperatures there, and I was recording everything and just meeting all the kids one by one. We did so many kids. How many? 300. Yeah, I met each and every one individually, so that was really special too. They were, after a while, they were so excited. They were just piled up in the doorway, and they couldn't wait for their turn. At first, they were quite nervous of what was going on. They didn't know what was happening, but by the time they seen what was going on with each kid and how everyone left excited and happy, and yeah, by the end of it, we were pretty much swarmed by them. They were just following us everywhere and wanted all of our attention, so it really changed from when we went there to leaving, and this was our departure here. I'm not sure if there's a picture of Nancy.
Okay, come.
They were just so excited. Yeah, so that was part of our experience. That was just amazing. This was Esther's house that Nancy had talked about. Esther, this is outside. They had a cooking area there and her laundry hanging. Very, very minimal, very basic, but that's how they worked and lived. This was another little house. The woman that was there didn't want us to come inside. I'm not too sure why, but she just wasn't comfortable with that idea, so just a picture of her house. And yeah, same house there. We talked to her at the door for a bit, but she just wasn't comfortable, so that was okay. Just had a little tour. This was at the Eye Care Center. It's like a Ronald McDonald House where children live that have cancer. And within 5 minutes of walking onto the property, this little guy, Daniel, came running up to me, and he was pretty special. He just wanted to hold my hand the whole time and walk around as we visited all the other children. And we played musical chairs with them. So that was a lot of fun. And probably about 10 minutes after this started, we just seen from down the road an absolute wall of rain that just came rushing at us. So 2 people left out there because we all had to run inside for cover. It just torrential downpour. But yeah, that was fun. And this was another little girl at the window. I didn't get her name, but we had met at the window. Nancy and I were playing some little games with her at the window. And
Like this weather, this is like
Yeah, but I've never heard of that name, so not certain.
See if she'll do tap tap with you, Diana. Hello.
That's her there. I didn't catch her name either, but yeah, as you know, their dire situation, they were still just so glad to see us all, and definitely could feel the connection with them and God's presence there with each and every one of them. Another little guy, don't know his name either, but yeah. This is our little farewell leaving.
Thank you so much for welcoming us.
Asanteni sana kwa kutukaribisha.
We've come a long way and we've really appreciated your love and your welcome.
Tumekuja na tunashukuru sana kwa kutukaribisha na
Yeah, so I think that's about it from unless there was some safari pictures, I'm not too sure, but yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you guys all for coming out tonight and sharing in our experience.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, so we tried we could share for hours and hours, but we tried to focus a little bit on things we saw and did and things we felt. So I, not purposefully, but this is Moses that I'm assessing here. But one thing we did obviously was the medical clinic, and so just seeing a medical clinic here, obviously you know what that is, a doctor's office. It looks like a doctor's office. This building was 4 cement walls and a table, and nothing else. Even their filing system, I should have put a picture of their filing system up there. So we had talked about it the day and the day a couple days before, what it would look like, what they wanted us to do, which was originally we were told just the height and weight of every kid. Well, then we found out the form they have, it's supposed to be a full health assessment, blood pressures, listen to their heart, all the things. So now there's 3 of us and we're gonna do all of this somehow. So I made them my nurse's assistants. And Catherine, yes, you were very helpful. So we walk in, and again, in my mind, I'm picturing like they're gonna come, the kids are coming to see us in their classroom, so you're gonna hand me their charts in organized fashion. No, it was one table just stacked full of every kid's chart. And I obviously don't know their names. Some of their names were very difficult to say. And they would giggle at me every time I tried to say their name. And then I'd get one like Henry, and I'd say, hey, I can say Henry. But I couldn't find their chart. So I'm looking to the Rosemary and Mace or Bliss or whatever the nurse's name was to be determined. And they're kind of just looking back at me for instruction. So eventually we figured out, or they figured out what we wanted, that we needed their charts, and off we went. But it was just eye-opening experience to see like really nothing, but we can still check a kid out and give them love and make sure they're healthy. There were a few kids that probably need a little more follow-up and checkup than I was offering. And so there was one child in particular, not Moses here, but one child in particular who I think was actually quite sick, and I started to ask him more questions. Did his belly hurt? Did his head hurt? And as soon as I started asking more questions, he got so frightened. And later on through our tours and meeting some of the special needs kids, we learned that if you are sick in African culture or in Tanzania culture, if you're sick, if you have special needs, you are viewed as literal garbage. Kids have been thrown out. And so for the special needs kids we met, they live there because they've been thrown out, because the families can't take care of them. They don't have the resources to take care of them. And so they're not just given away, they're thrown out. So as I questioned this little boy that day, later on I realized he's scared, because what does that mean for his future? Obviously he either lives or attends school at the Village of Hope, so he would be cared for well. And so my assessment was passed on to the nurse there, and hopefully he will get the care he needs. So that's our medical clinic. So then this is, as you saw in Nancy's story, this is Esther's house. And so Nancy mentioned the bed, so the hammock and then a blow-up mattress or a foam mattress underneath. And this is the size of one of our sheds. And so I just very much realized we see this as strange or abnormal or maybe even wrong, and that needs to be fixed. And even Gary, you can go ahead to the next couple pictures too. So this is the outside. That's another bedroom in the background. They do all their cooking outside on a fire. This is, the open door there is Esther's room, and then there's another house or room next to it as well. Same exact size. So to us, as I said, this looks weird. This looks that we need to change it. And perhaps there does need to be upgrades and changes, but something I took away, or something that I saw in all of this isn't just the one and only, but there was lots of stories like this and lots of homes like this. And I took away the idea that just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. These families, they showed happiness and they showed love, and they lived a great life, even with little amounts of things, and even little homes, and they did quite well. So even in some of our travels around town, they're doing what they need to do to live and to enjoy life. So I thought that was pretty special. So then this is the view from our where we stayed at Julius's house. So it's a 2-story house. Well, 3-story, I guess. Nancy and Diana were in the basement in an apartment. And then the main house is where we stayed with Julius and his boys. And then this is the upstairs. He has like a big balcony. So we're looking out over the city. Giffen and Letitia live in that blue house there. So I just take this picture and share it with you to say how beautiful it is. Again, in that idea of there's brokenness everywhere, there's troubles everywhere, and we see it here as well. We have beauty all around us. There's still brokenness, but I just wanted to say, how beautiful our surroundings were, even in the midst of poverty and struggle. And I just had this, as I sat up here a few times, actually, this sense of peace and rest sitting up there. So that's been something I have personally worked on in the last year or so, just finding peace in the chaos and in the busyness. And so having those moments of peace up there was very special to me. And then this is more than just my girls, but this is where George lives. So this is one of the homes at Village of Hope. So one of the little boys that Nancy was chatting about earlier, this is one of the houses. So in this home, there would be the house mom, as they refer to them. And so she would have her own space, and then there's a bedroom. And this house mom in particular cared for 8 boys in this one small house. Then you can see their dining room table, and then there's like a little living room to the one side there where the couch is, yeah. And that's it, and 8 boys. And I just wanted to highlight the house moms with this picture. I didn't have a picture of them. I think we do in our slideshow, but there was 7 homes, so 7 house moms, and then there was 2 like helpers that would float, aunties, that's right. And they would float around and help for extra special needs, or if one of the house moms went on vacation, basically, and they go home, because the house moms also have their own families outside of the Village of Hope. So as time went on and we learned a little bit more about them, Diana actually led a wonderful devotional and a little bit of a Bible study with them one morning, so we actually got to spend some one-on-one time with them. And I just came away from that moment thinking how strong these 9 women were, even like emotionally, to be there apart from their own families, to care for these kids day in, day out. Physically, we met a couple of these special needs kids in particular. One was like late teenager, early 20s, and needed a lot of care. He would require you to pick him up, to transfer him from, like, there's no mechanical lifts like we have here. There's no extra help. They would have to physically pick him up, put him from couch to bed to a wheelchair, if they even had a wheelchair in that moment, and move him around. So just physically, they'd have to be strong. And just for their own, mental health, how do they take care of themselves? I just walked away from this experience realizing how unbelievably strong those 9 women are. And many of them have been there for 15, 18, 20 plus years. This has been their whole life. And I think even some of your stories, Nancy, about that, the mom's heart of you've been away from your family for that long to do such a special job to take care of these kids that don't have a home. So it's more than just a picture of my girls. He's nodding at me. I don't know what that means. So then overall, we've had sort of the slideshow going nonstop here. It was very much, and we knew it going into this, that we would be learning about ourselves and about the culture and about even Julius and the boys and the way they live. So we did do work, and when we got home, I think we realized how much work we did do and how much we didn't really stop, because the jet lag hit and we were like, oh, we haven't really stopped in 2 weeks. But it was pretty special to go and to see, and it's something we've been talking about for years. So to actually say we did it was very cool.
Nod at me. Hello. Did you break it? Did you grab it? Yeah, but come over here so they can see.
There's another little bit of a story that I didn't even think about before going, and it really affected me, was the albino community. I knew they were often, like Elizabeth said, thrown out or uncared for and those kind of things, but I didn't realize that when a mother has an albino baby, that baby is either thrown out or he or she is hidden, because they still have some people still believe in hurting albino people. So whether it's a rape or violence or cutting off an albino person's hand, leg, foot, ear, and making a potion with it, and so there are these people that believe that if you do these terrible things to albino people, your disease will be cured, or you will have better luck, or all these different awful ways to think. So we did part of it when we went for our tour. We went in the office area, and there were several albino people that we met. One in particular, Grace, and I think here she is in the middle, and I can't remember the gentleman's name at the end, but they were telling us lots of the information that we learned about albino people, and and it was really incredible. And so we've only seen, I think, maybe 3 albino children, but the ones that we did see, had the hat and the full length shirts, protect their eyes or their skin and whatnot. But that was really touching to know that, I knew this happened years ago, but I didn't think it was still happening. So just to hear those words come from Grace, and and just to know that when we have special needs children children or adults in our community. You know, we come together and we take care of them. So I think having the albino people and the special needs that we met, I'm like, that is just incredible to me. That is so different, where we hold together and take care of our special needs kids. And yeah, and if it wasn't for the Village of Hope, there was all these opportunities that these people wouldn't have had. So that was a little thing I missed.
Well, at the end of the night, I said we would ask you any questions and everything. But before we do, we just want to say just thank you so much for really to the communities on the North Shore, because we wouldn't have been able to make this adventure, this trip, this mission happen if it wasn't for the support of our church and, of course, the support of our community. And whether that was just giving something in a fundraiser, just making just a donation to the team, every little bit truly made a difference. And there's literally hundreds of photos now on the computer and trying to capture. I mean, everyone has a story in there. And you know, we talked lots tonight. And hopefully you got to hear a couple things of not just what we saw, but as I close tonight, one of the things that you know, I really kind of encouraged us before we went and got to experience it was we didn't go to Tanzania to bring God to the people that were there. We had the opportunity to go witness what God was already doing in Tanzania and what he was already doing in the lives of people there. And we knew that it would change us. Didn't know necessarily how it would change us, but we definitely, between the kids and all the adults on our team, we know that we will definitely never be the same again from having had this opportunity. And you know, I said, you know, there's moments on mission trips. It's always those little details that can throw you off. And I'm so thankful for this team who willingly stepped up and did whatever they needed to do, whatever they were asked to do, even if they really didn't want to do it. And we didn't really tell these stories. We didn't really tell these stories. But what happened was incredible, just to see these people that are here tonight step up and just be willing to serve. And even though it took them out of their comfort zone, they had to talk in front of people, they had to come up with life lessons to share, and all of these things. You can ask about them later. But all of these people that are here just totally blew me away as a pastor. And just super proud of the way this team stepped up to serve. And even having the kids get up to share really is a miracle in and of itself on those moments. So what would you like to share? Yes, we have one more story that Mackenzie would like to share about all the different things that didn't work out. And so if there's ever a lesson that you can learn is that God definitely cares about the little things. And so Mackenzie, why don't you tell us a little bit about the little things? So what did you, make sure that's working. I don't know if it is. Hello. It popped. Anyways, so what did you bring with you on the trip from school?
A journal and math.
And did you work on this how many times? Once a week or once a day?
Once a day.
And what happened?
I left.
What did we do?
We
where
went.
Did you take it?
I took it to Safari.
And where did you put it?
In the desk in a room.
In your hotel room. And how far of a drive is it from the Safari to the Julius's house?
At 3 hours? 6 hours.
12 there.
So to do a round trip, it would have been like 12 hours. And so when we got back from Safari, what did Mommy tell you to do?
Go right. Go write it in your journal.
And could you find your journal?
Nope.
And where was your journal?
In the desk at Safari.
6 hours away. So what did we do? Were you happy about that?
I was upset.
And how upset were you?
Really?
A little upset or very upset?
Very.
A little bit of emotion or lots of emotions? And so what did we do in that moment?
Pray.
And who prayed?
You?
Did you pray?
Yes.
We prayed together. And in a few minutes, what happened?
We called them to
Mommy texted the front desk. Mommy sent a text message to the gentleman at the front desk. And then what did he tell Mommy he was going to do?
look for it in the desk.
And did he find it?
Yes.
And Catherine's too. And then what did he do with it?
He put it on a plane to fly it to Mwanza,
And so where did we go the next morning?
the airport.
To do what?
Pick up the journal and map.
And so who would have thought that right in the middle of the Serengeti, next to the lodge that we stayed at, there would be an airstrip, which I thought was the coolest part of the Serengeti, minus the animals, of course. And sure enough, the pilot was staying like right close to the lodge, and so the host at the hotel, was that? Emmanuel, thank you, that's his name. Big shout out to Emmanuel. Put Elizabeth's name on the journal, wrapped it all up in this really nice bag, and gave it to the pilot, who flew it all the way to Mwanza the next day, absolutely free, and incredible answer to prayer on that last kind of moment before Leland broke his arm. And then God answered another prayer. But all that to say is that it was so cool to see God at work already in Mwanza and already in Tanzania long before we ever got there. And I'm so thankful that one of the things that Julia shared with me that I wanted to share with you tonight is over a decade ago, him and Jade were traveling Northern Ontario, going to all the churches along the Highway 11 and 17, and started asking churches to support their ministry of going overseas and to do the work that they felt God called them to do. And he told me that our church here in Terrace Bay was one of the very first churches to agree to sponsor him and his family as they embarked over 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, to Tanzania. And he also said that this church has been one of the most consistent churches in their support through numerous different pastors and leaders and seasons. And so I am thankful tonight as a pastor just to see the faithfulness of this church, the generosity of this church and community to continue their support for his ministry. And one of the things that I really believe in is the church that he planted, Petra City Church. I really believe in the college there. And there's just some incredible dreams and visions that God has given him for the ministry. And he says the Village of Hope makes a difference because of the support that it receives financially from around the world and from Canada, but also from local churches in the area. And he said, if we don't have pastors to train for local churches, we don't have local churches making a difference in connections in the community to help with the ministry of Village of Hope. And so even though he's got like 4 different jobs on the go, he's got an incredible vision that ties it all together to see the campus and the college thrive, to see the local church be revived and be renewed, and see new churches planted and inspire a whole church planting movement and generation. And so one of the projects that he's got on the go, in addition to pastoring a church, running the Village of Hope, is they're entering in a building project to build a new church building on the college grounds that will house almost 300 people, and an incredible vision there. They're about 60% of the way fundraised for that project. But one of the other things that is on his heart, because it's on the grounds of the campus, and the college started a building project about 10 years ago, and they have a 2.5-story building that has been unfinished for the last decade. And he said, if we could raise about $10,000, we could probably get this building to a spot where we could use it and make it into effective classrooms. And so I've been just chatting with him and praying with him. How can our churches across Northern Ontario help support this project? And so I would just invite you to pray for that project. Pray, never stop praying for Julius and his ministry. But if you would just take an extra time and just pray for Mwanza Christian College and Petra City Church as they embark on these incredibly intense building projects and fundraising goals that they have. So he needs to raise about another $100,000, I think, for the building to be built, and another 10 to 12 to finish the other one. And so we're just going to pray and believe that God will answer those prayers. And our church right now, to hit our goal, this budget to support Julius this year, are looking probably to raise about another $1,500 to support him for the year of 2023. And so we just thank you so much for your support. Thank you for coming tonight. And if you ever want to give towards him, you just know that every time you give to North Shore Church and you designate it missions or you designate it to Julius, 100% of your donation goes right to him to do the work that he is doing. And so we are just thankful that God has continued to provide for his needs, and him and his family are taken care of, and you're a part of his story and what God is doing in his life and in his ministry and in Mwanza. I've talked too much because I always do, but would you join me in prayer tonight as we close? And then if you have any questions, you can ask us as we have some treats. There's some cashews from Tanzania, but we'd love to connect with you tonight. Not yet. You can't eat any. No, they're not for you tonight. So maybe Elizabeth would pray because I have talked lots tonight.
Okay. You ready? Dear God, I thank you. I thank you for tonight. Thank you that we've gotten to come together and share some of our stories and some of the things that you've taught us and that we've learned along our adventure. God, I thank you just for this opportunity to go and to come home and to share stories from another world and another culture. And God, I pray for Julius and his team and for the ministries that he serves in. God, I pray that you would just continue to encourage him and continue to raise up the team around him. Because one thing we did learn, God, is that he certainly can't do what he's doing without a village around him. So, dear God, would you just continue to be the heartbeat of Mwanza and of these different ministries. God, may you bless our just conversation in the next little while and be with us tonight. In your name we pray. Amen.